Welcome back. Everett Burr is here with Kathleen McMurrin. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Hi,
Now,
how are you?
you guys are making your annual visit because y'all were back here last year, weren't you?
It was
Kathleen was.
Kathleen was, yeah.
Yeah, we do it semi-annual every other year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And this event is called the Ghost Walk.
Yes, sir.
And explain what that is.
Okay.
It's a fun way to learn your history.
Good, we
Okay.
love history.
Rose Hill Cemetery is one of the older cemeteries, and this is the cemetery where the people who established Harrison are buried. So as you go through, you're going to learn the history of Harrison and the people that made our town.
Do you know quite a bit of the history? I'm sure you
I
do.
bet she does.
Oh, I know enough to know it's interesting.
Yeah. What is one of the most interesting things about this area that probably people at home don't know about? About the town, how it was founded? And,
Even though this is a southern state and a southern, we were part of the Confederacy,
Right.
the town of Harrison was actually named after a Yankee.
Really?
Yes.
was it a surveyor or something
Yes,
like that?
he was.
Yeah.
He was a LaRue Harrison, and he was a colonel in the 1st Arkansas Cavalry, and anyway, or infantry, and anyway, one of his captains was a Fick and a Frick, which the
Right.
streets up here in Harrison
Yeah.
are named after two of those. And anyway, he said he would survey the town out, and they named it after him.
Yeah.
And those streets are named after them. There's a few others too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Well, I'm fascinated with the history. And I've said this before on the show. My ancestry homesteaded in Newton County, but they had a land and title office here in Harrison. So anybody in the surrounding area and the surrounding counties had to come to Harrison
Right.
to do all the paperwork for the land and that kind of thing. So I mean, there was a man that was head of that office, and he had to go out to all these different places, and he would come and stay with people overnight. And I just love hearing those kind of stories. No cell phones, no vehicles.
Right.
You had to do it all by horse, and you
Yeah.
had to rely on the local folks to take you in, and this kind of thing. So, and I bet that's some of the history that you're talking
Of
about.
course, Harrison, Boone County was formed after the Civil War, just after the Civil
Yeah.
War. Then when the state began giving pensions to the Confederate soldiers, they had to come into Harrison and sign papers to get their payments.
Really?
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So they had to come in every month, or
Yes.
every
whenever,
month.
Whenever they got their payment, they had to come into
Wow.
Harrison to sign.
So if you live
I'll
in
be darned.
Parthenon or something, you had to
get here.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
that's amazing.
Harrison became a shopping center.
Yes, this was the big
Right.
place.
Right.
That railroad through here, and
Right.
and I've seen pictures
It
of
was the metropolis of,
it was. Yeah.
you know, I
yeah.
mean,
Now, is this the kind of thing you talk about, or do you talk about just some of the people that were? Because I know that you have characters at certain locations throughout the graveyard. Is that how
At the stones where that person is buried.
Yeah.
In other words, we would stand by the stone. I'm going to do like Josephine Crump. She was born in 1840 in Tennessee. 1850, her family moved into this area. Of course, this is when it was not Boone County; it was Carroll County through the Civil War. She was married and living with her parents here. Her husband was a Confederate soldier working with a hospital in Little Rock. And he got to thinking that she'd be safer in Little Rock. So he came and got her and their little girl, Lulu, and moved them to Little Rock. But when the Union troops came in, then she was a Confederate behind the Union lines. Her husband did have an accident and died in Little Rock. She wanted to come back home. She had signed the oath of allegiance, but she had a troubled time coming home because was she a Confederate or was she a Union? Neither side wanted to accept her, see.
And this was after the war was over with.
It was during
Yeah.
the war.
Oh, during the war.
the
Okay.
latter days. She
Okay.
wanted to come back after her husband died. She wanted to
Yeah.
come back, see. Now, her dad was a doctor. He was an early doctor. He was killed in a skirmish up in Missouri in 1862 in the early days, see, of the Civil War. But she had a lot of experience, being a Confederate behind the Union lines,
right.
and then coming back, the troubles they had reestablishing life up here.
And you'll
Yeah.
learn more about that as you
Right.
do this tour.
Yeah.
As you go through, now we've got one who's a saddle maker. He made saddles. And they're going to show you how he did this.
Yeah.
I think we've got Vic.
Yeah, Fick is the founder of Harrison.
There's one
Captain
gonna do
Henry Fick, and he's actually our solo Yankee that but Jim Goldie portrays him, and
Okay.
he's a guy everybody loves to hate. But anyway, Jim does a great job. He's and he's, you know, Fick was a manipulator. He really was. I mean, he's advertised in papers up north and got a lot of people from down there to come to move into this area
Yeah.
after the war, and he was just about everything in the town government. But
So he benefited all the way
he
around, didn't
benefited all, and he did during the war. I mean, I always told Goldie, I said he probably got a hernia stealing a ham, you know, trying to. But anyway, he did draw a union pension, and he, like I say, he was either in every aspect of the government or had a hand in
Wow.
it. And,
Wow.
and he's our founder, and Jim does a great job. I mean, you can learn a lot from this. And the other guy that his name was J.B. Frew, he was the saddle maker, and he was from this area. And right after the war, he ran off to join the army, and he got in the 5th Cavalry. And to make a long story short, he was wanting to come home before his time was up. He had chased he wrote a little pamphlet chasing the Sioux, and that's what they did. They chased them, and he said, "Well, we never hardly ever saw any of them. It was just where they'd been and what they would set the planes on fire, and they about starved to death a time or two. But anyway, he was ready to come home before he got out, and he wrote home, and his mom got him out."
Wow, that's interesting. Interesting stuff. Now, when is this going to happen?
It'll be this next Saturday,
Okay.
October the 12th. Tours will be started at 6 o'clock. They're $3. But we're going to have beans, cornbread. Everybody who wants to come to eat supper, that's $5. This is what the people would have eaten at that time,
Yeah.
is the beans and cornbread.
Bean cornbread, yeah.
So that's what we're having to serve if you want to eat supper there.
Now, when people come over
Where-
there, where do they congregate? Where do they meet at? Right at the chamber, or where?
Yes.
Yeah, and you can park turn to the right and go around into the parking lot, kind of behind the chamber there. That's where you need to park at.
So you don't
And
need to go on the main entrance of the cemetery?
No.
Yeah, you'll go in right there at the caboose. Is where we're
Okay,
gonna be set
or
up
where the
there.
caboose-
And
is
then the
on
bean,
bypass.
if you want to participate and eat supper, where will that be having?
It's the pavilion there in
Okay.
front.
Okay.
No, okay.
So everything will be found right there.
Yes.
There'll be a lot of pig meat in there, and probably no Muslims, so it'll be. the beans will have plenty of ham in them, I guarantee.
What's the cost for this? You may have said I just didn't
Okay,
hear.
for the meal is $5.
Okay.
For the tour is $3. But now if you've got like Boy Scouts or anybody in
Okay,
uniform,
group rate
they're
stuff.
free to come through because we
Okay.
want them to learn the history. And
Okay.
this is an interesting way to teach
Yeah.
them.
Right.
And how many characters will you have total? Do you know?
What is our total?
We have, I believe, 9 different characters, but
Okay.
we're going to be doing a infantry demonstration.
Oh, okay.
Just a short drill on like loading the rifle. It's a 9-step count, and demonstrating that. And then we're also going to have a field piece up there. It's a mountain howitzer. It's Steve Muller's gun, Baby Huey.
And it's a cannon.
It is a
Yeah,
cannon.
okay.
And it's just the same type of gun they had in the mountain areas. It's an exact replica of one of those, and they were the guns that really actually, in small skirmishes and stuff like that, that was the gun that was used.
Okay, all right. This
Okay.
next Saturday at 6 p.m. It starts at 6 p.m.
Right.
Yes.
And it'll go till when?
Until nobody else comes.
Till nobody else comes.
Yeah. Usually everybody gives out about 8 or
8 or 9:30.
8:30,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
If you want to walk through the cemetery while it's still light, you want to be there at the 6 o'clock tour.
Okay.
After that, you can go through in the dark and carry lanterns.
Okay.
Okay.
If that,
So whichever
yeah.
way you want to view it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you.
Thank
we're
you.
we're glad to be here.
All right. Thank you so much. That's a pretty good thing. If you're interested in history, do that next Saturday starting at 6. Right there at the caboose on the bypass next to the chamber office over there. Okay, what's next?
Up next, we have Amy Lippy. She's with the Valley Springs Booster Club. Stay with us.